Hey.
Alright y'all, so I'm gonna preface this video real quick by just saying, obviously, it's been one game, it's preseason, I'm not trying to get too ahead of myself, especially if y'all are seeing the title, but at the same time, if I were a Pistons fan, I would be very, very excited after this first live action Sunday night when the Pistons went out and beat the Milwaukee Bucks by a solid margin. There were a lot of exciting things happening on the court for a Pistons team that looks brand new and added a lot of pieces in the offseason and have some high aspirations for the upcoming year. Over the past 5 seasons, the Detroit Pistons have not won more than 23 games in a single season, and with that being said, I do think that this year might actually be a little different. Anyways, let's start with Cade Cunningham, obviously the star of the team, the focal point, and he looked awesome. It is still unbelievable to me that there are real NBA fans who just don't think that Cade Cunningham is a good NBA player, let alone a great one. He's coming off a career year, he had a fully healthy offseason, and he came out the gates, again, just looking awesome. Again, showing that he can score at all 3 levels, he can get to the rim, he can hit shots from the mid-range, he can pull up from 3, he can catch and shoot from 3. Most of all though, I love his playmaking. His patience when he has the ball in his hands is extraordinary, and there is one specific play where he just takes his time carving out the pick and roll, and it ended up leading to a really good look where I think Jalen Duren ended up getting fouled. But again, it's those types of plays with Cade Cunningham commanding the offense and taking control that has me really excited for what this team could look like offensively. I also really liked how new coach JB Bickerstaff gave him a couple of post-up chances. It's something that is a dying breed in the NBA today. Yet we do see other star players like Luka Doncic definitely comes to mind, where he's a bigger guard who usually has smaller guys matched up onto him, and when that's the case, to be able to post him up is just a really easy way to get good looks. The other standout player of the night, at least to me, was Jaden Ivey, who went through an absolute roller coaster of a year last year with Monty Williams. For some reason had some sort of vendetta against him, I'm not really sure. But we saw perhaps the best version of Jaden Ivey in this game. He had a team high 22 points, he was getting to the rim at will, especially in transition, and overall he just seemed a lot more polished. He looked like he was really picking his spots well on offense and not just chucking bad shots at the wrong times. He hit all 3 of his 3-point attempts from the corners. And again, just overall, the rim pressure is easily his best trait. He got fouled a bunch, he got to the free throw line, shot 9 free throws, which is excellent to see. I think everyone has seen the talent of Jaden Ivey at this point in his career, but this season is going to be all about just putting it together more consistently and being able to be that second scoring threat alongside Cade Cunningham. Another standout in my eyes was Jalen Duren. He is another guy, young guy, who is primed for another big leap forward in the season. And he didn't go too crazy in this game, but still showed a lot of promising things, especially in the playmaking category. It's something that he showed sporadically last season with him being able to hit backdoor cutters, bring the ball up in transition. They said it a bunch of the broadcasts, but JB Bickerstaff has made an emphasis for the ball to run through Duren at that, foul line, post up area. And it really helped the offense move the ball more with Cade, Ivey, other guys all cutting off of those looks, getting handoffs. It seems that Jalen Duren is ready for the role. And again, I think it's going to be a huge boost to this offense, being able to use him as a playmaking hub at the top of the key. And then to go back to the top of the video a little bit, how I mentioned that the Pistons actually looked like a real NBA team, and their offense was actually in rhythm, and the ball was moving, and they were getting good shots. And another, large portion of that is because of the offseason acquisitions of guys like Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., they traded for Simone Fontecchio at the end of last season. And the thing that all 3 of these guys have in common is that they are actually good shooters, good NBA shooters, who can space the floor and require the defense to pay attention to them. So even though they're not going to have insanely big roles on this team moving forward for the season, they are playing important roles. But perhaps the most exciting part of this game for you Pistons fans was the preseason debut, professional debut, whatever you want to call it, of your draft pick, Ron Holland, 5th overall pick. If you just look at the box score, it might not look like he did a lot. Had 10 points on 4 of 10 shooting, didn't make a 3, did have 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. So again, not nothing, but obviously nothing that stands out. But actually watching through the game and watching through the tape, he was an absolute dog on the defensive side of the court. His, again, just hustle on the defensive side, rebounding the ball, was on full display. Pistons were using him heavily as a point of attack defender, had a few really good reps on Damian Lillard, had one play specifically where he just straight up stripped DeLon Wright and got a nice play in transition because of it. He also took a charge on Brook Lopez, which is not an easy task to do and much easier said than done. Overall, it seems like him and Asar Thompson are going to be very frustrating for opposing offenses to deal with, especially at the wing position. Both of them are on the court at the same time. You know, obviously, offensive side of the ball might look a little ugly, but defensive side of the ball, it's going to be very, very fun to watch. Those guys just absolutely harass ball carriers. And to speak again on the offense just a little bit more in depth, he did show some flashes, had a nice little floater, tough floater at the end of the shot clock where he was kind of forced to put up a shot. Had a few really rough possessions in transition where he either just didn't make the right read or turn the ball over. But again, all in all, really exciting debut from Ron Holland. I'm excited to see where he goes from here and how he progresses for the upcoming season. So overall, last note I'll make, again, this Detroit Pistons team, it's one game in the preseason. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but they actually look like a real NBA team again. After years and years of just being in the doghouse of the Eastern Conference and just cycling through player after player after player of guys who just don't really belong in the NBA, they finally have a actually good, talented NBA level roster. And I think the best way to point that out is just the fact that they have guys like Wendell Moore and more specifically Paul Reed in their reserves, you know, guys that aren't even inside their top like 10 rotational players. And I mean, Paul Reed is a legit NBA player. Like, he has had moments in the postseason where he's had big games. I know he was like a former G League MVP, and even just comparing to last season by itself, like Wendell Moore and Paul Reed by themselves are better players than like half the guys that logged minutes for the Pistons last year. Like, it's truly incredible the turnaround they've had. Anyway, I'll leave you with these last two possessions. I think they were my favorite possessions from this entire game for the Detroit Pistons. First one, offense, where they just have terrific ball movement. All starts with Cade Cunningham. You know, first option wasn't there, so he resets, runs a pick and roll, and the ball just goes flying all around the court until it eventually ends up with a good 3-point shot opportunity. And then on the defensive side of things, tremendous team defense at the end of the half. Bucks ran a actually solid play trying to get Damian Lillard a little empty corner pick and roll, but rotations are on point. Cade Cunningham goes flying from the paint, closing out to the corner and blocks a 3-point attempt. So again, I'll just leave you guys with that. Pistons fans, just those two plays alone should have you very excited for what you're about to see this upcoming season. This seems like a team that actually gives a shit, a team that wants to win games, and a team that now, again, finally has the talent needed to go out and actually win games. I mentioned at the top of the video, Pistons haven't won more than 23 games in the last 5 seasons. I would not be surprised at all if they go out and win 30 games or maybe even more. Again, they're not going to be a great team by any means, but they are going to be the best Pistons team that we have seen in quite some time. So again, thank you guys for watching. As always, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, and I'll catch you all in the next one.